hard meeting, so I had a few things going on. I'm like, okay, what do I want to teach on? What do I want to teach on? And I kept coming back to Proverbs. And the thing about Proverbs is, you ever see those little Bibles? Little Bibles they always pass out? Those little Bibles, they contain the New Testament, contain Psalms and Proverbs. Like, why? I say, well, because the New Testament's easier to follow. And, Psalms, Proverbs have different, good life lessons in them. It enables you to witness to non-believers to help them become believers, because you start with Jesus first, and then you say, okay, well, now that you know about Jesus, let me tell you about all these other things, that led up to that. Because the God in the Old Testament was sometimes hard to understand. It's hard to understand, His will. Of course, it's always hard to understand God's will, but that's why we start off with, basically the milk. And, granted, there's meat in the New Testament. Definitely there's meat, but there's milk, and that's what you need for nutrition, milk. I'm going to start off with Proverbs, and we're going to just go through Proverbs 15. We're just going to stay in one chapter today. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1. A soft answer turns away wrath. Well, that's pretty, and these are written, of course, by Solomon, the wisest person that ever lived. A soft answer turns away wrath. And it's very, very true. It's like, kind words, help, harsh words don't help the situation. Of course, next half the verses. But a harsh word stirs up anger. You have a problem, and of course, you have two ways to go about it. You have the right way and the wrong way. You go the wrong way. I know many of us have had that situation where we're trying to help somebody, and then we say the wrong thing, and it just blows what wasn't even a situation into something bad, something you have to spend a lot of time dealing with. The tongue of the wise uses knowledge rightly, but the mouth of fools pours forth foolishness. And Solomon speaking, Solomon speaking a lot of truth. It's like the words of the wise, do use knowledge. It's like, but the mouth of fools just pour forth this. And I like the terminology here is the tongue of the wise uses knowledge rightly, but the mouth of the fool pours forth. You think about like a faucet just pours forth, and like you've ever seen those people? They just open their mouth and just spew forth just stupidity. And a wise person doesn't just ramble on and on and on and on and on. A wise person uses few words, and those words are deep and they have meaning. Verse 3. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good. God sees you wherever you're at. No matter what you're doing, both, when you're doing evil, He sees you doing evil. When you're doing good, He sees you do good. He sees everything. He's like, He's real. The eyes of the Lord, a wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. Kind words heal. Kind words help you grow. That's like perverse words. Perverse words, I don't know what perverse means. And, it breaks the spirit. It's like it hurts your spirit. It's like if you use profanity, you use words that hurt. It's like it breaks down your spirit, breaks down the spirit of the person that's hearing you spew those words, or maybe you're saying those words to that person, and it breaks them down. A fool despises his father's instruction, but he who receives correction is prudent. Now, none of us like to be told we're doing something wrong. None of us like to be told we're doing wrong, because we all like to believe that, hey, everything I do is right. Fortunately, that's not the way it is. And a wise person knows that sometimes I'm not doing the right thing, or sometimes I don't know how to do everything. And a wise person will accept that I don't know everything, and sometimes I need a little help, or like I'm doing something wrong, and you need to be corrected. A wise person doesn't mind correction. A foolish person will never receive what we like to call constructive criticism. Because some criticism helps you build up. It helps you build up. It's like you don't know you're doing wrong, or say, hey, you're not doing this right. Let me show you this is the way to do it. Well, then you're never going to grow. You're just going to keep doing it wrong. In the house of the righteous there is much treasure, but in the revenue sun. And it's like, but it's eventually going to get you in trouble. The lips of the wise disperse knowledge, but the heart of the fool does not do so. A wise person has wise words. It's pretty self-explanatory. But the heart of the fool does not do so. The fool has no wisdom in him. He only has foolishness. And the misunderstanding of fool doesn't mean you're stupid. It doesn't mean it's not a foolishness isn't a measure of intelligence. Foolishness is a measure of, like your basically what we call your common sense. It's not because there's plenty of people that are extremely intelligent people, but they're an idiot. They're foolish. So foolishness and stupidity are two completely different things. They can be related, yes. It's like, but they don't have to be. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord. And that's pretty strong language. Abomination. Abomination, of course, is something unnatural, something destructive, unwanted, of course. But the prayer of the upright is his delight. See, it's saying right here, it's like God would rather have your prayer of an upright person than the sacrifice of an ungodly person. Say if you have this person here that's lives an ungodly life, they come to church on Sundays and that's it. They the rest of the time they just do whatever they want to do. Do whatever they want to do. But they give their money. They put in their money. They put in more than Uri. But that's God would rather not have that. God would rather like the story of that's right. Maybe not. Remember Jesus had the story of the widow who put in the 2 mites. He said she did put in more than all the rest of them. He delighted more in those 2 little basically like pennies almost than those people that are putting bags of money. Why? Because their sacrifice was they're wicked. Their sacrifice was an abomination. God would rather have a little from a godly, moralistic person than a whole lot from someone that only plays lip service to him. Harsh discipline is for him who forsakes the way, and he who hates correction will die. Harsh, but it's like Solomon does hit on discipline a lot. Granted, he was a king, and I don't think people disciplined him too often, but he was a wise man. And you get disciplined when you forsake the way. It's like if you go off the wrong path, God's going to discipline you. When you get back on the right path, well, then you won't be disciplined anymore. You'll be comforted. And if you hate correction, you will die. It's like, well, it's a spiritual death. So if you hate correction, die a spiritual death. It's like, and then you're going to die a physical death eventually, and then it's not going to be a lot of fun for you. Hell and destruction are before the Lord, so how much more the hearts of the sons of men. God has dominion over hell and destruction. That's like, granted, Satan. When you think of hell, you think of Satan. It's like Satan doesn't rule hell. God does. In the days, God's gonna, even put Satan down there and he can't get back out. A scoffer does not love one who corrects him, nor will he go to the wise. When I hear this word, I always think, honestly, think of a teenager. Sorry, man. As a teenager, we, adults can, best like as a teenager, it's like you didn't want to go to anybody for advice. You already knew it all. As anybody older than you try to tell you, hey, this, you really shouldn't do that. Oh, you shouldn't wear this. Oh, you shouldn't, do this. And you're like, whatever. You're old. You don't know. And then of course, what happens? Most of the time you find out, oh, guess what? The adult was right. I was like, why? Because with age comes wisdom. It's like life lessons teach you wisdom. It's like so, kids. When an adult tells you something, listen. It's like we're not trying to burst your fun. We're not trying to keep you from doing fun things. We're not trying to be cool. We're just trying to keep you from the same mistakes that we made. A merry heart makes a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken. How many like to be around happy people? Do you like to be around happy people? Yeah. if you're with somebody that's, really sad, really just depressed, and they're, woe is me, boo-hoo, crying all the time, you don't want to be around them. Why? Because they bring you down. It's like, and so, people's attitudes will affect your attitude. The same way as why you should be careful with, who your friends are. It's like, if you have a friend that, you want to walk in a godly path, it's like, but your friend here doesn't, and they, want to walk in a worldly path, and they want to do things that, is contradictory to what you've been taught by your parents and what you've been taught, in this book, you might want to, rethink your friendship with them. It's like, doesn't mean you don't you don't ever talk to them. It's like, but you keep them at arm's length, because if you welcome them in, you will
put them in the outer circle.
You put them in outer circle, exactly. You put them in outer circle. Don't let them be in your inner circle, because your inner circle influences you. So you have to be careful of who you hang out with, because they will bring you down. The heart of him who has understanding seeks knowledge, but the mouth of fools feeds on foolishness. People that have knowledge, that have understanding, want knowledge. It's like people who are foolish, they feed on foolish things. There's people that believe, these example foolish people that believe that whole situation that happened in Connecticut, up in that Sandy Hook Elementary School. They believe that was conspiracy. That didn't really happen. It was all a hoax, so they could pass new gun laws. Exactly, foolishness. But that's what people want to believe. They want to believe the foolishness of of things that are just ridiculous, because they'd rather believe that than believe the truth. 15. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but he who is of a merry heart has a continual feast. God's not going to bless you if you're doing wrong. Granted, the continual feast doesn't mean like everything's going to be hunky-dory, everything's going to be great. I'm not going to struggle. I'm not going to wonder where my next meal is going to come from. I'm not going to have to worry about how I'm going to pay for my car, my house, my this, my that. It doesn't mean that. It's like, but God's never going to abandon you. He's going to give you comfort. That's like, it might not be all the comfort you want, but it's going to be the comfort that you need. 16. Better is a little with the fear of the Lord than great treasure with trouble. And Solomon's, wise, and these are simple sayings, but it's true. It's like, it's better to have a little bit, just a little bit, and have God, but have just enough, than to live in that mansion on the hill, have like 5 cars in your garage, and have hundreds of thousands of dollars in your bank account. It's like, but then not have God. It's like, why? It's because you'll be miserable. It's like I've said it before, it's like there's people that have everything in life. They have everything you could possibly want for, and they're miserable. I mean, look at all the celebrities. They have drug problems. They have, Lindsay Lohan. It's like, look, she lives a life that's ungodly. And it's like, but yet you look at the blessings that she's gotten, in her life, that she makes, the money that she makes, and the things that she can do with what she makes, but she doesn't. It's like, and what happens to her? She's, she has a lot of trouble. She has legal trouble. She has personal troubles. Obviously, she has personal trouble. She would be, addicted to drugs and alcohol if you don't have some personal issues. It's like you rely on God, and then that's what happens when you live that kind of lifestyle. You don't rely on God. You rely on the world to help you, and the world's not going to help you. Better is a dinner of herbs where love is than a fat calf with hatred. It's better to have a small meal with your small meal with your family than to have a big feast with a bunch of people that want to fight each other. That's like one time in my previous marriage to my ex, their family, to say they were dysfunctional would be an understatement. I watched one time as they almost got into a physical fight over leftovers. Because one of them believed the other one was taking too much leftovers. And I watched one of them flick everybody off because they were trying to take what she considered her pie. Because Granny had made that pie for her, and they were trying to take some of it, and she literally flicked up strife. It's like, why? Because you're angry. You want everybody else to be angry too. So if you're sad, I want everybody else to be sad with you. Like, why? Because you don't want people, because you're human nature, you don't want just somebody to be better than you. You don't want somebody like, oh, they have this and I don't. Why? Well, that's envy. God talks about that in the Old Testament. You know, to not be, not covet. But we do covet, and that's why people, they like to stir up strife. It's like, because they're angry, they want everybody else to be angry too. They want to burst everybody's bubble. But he who is slow to anger allays contention. You ever have those people that you just really, it's hard to get them angry. It's hard to to make them angry to the point, where they stir up strife and they, breed contention. I consider myself one of those people. It's like I'm pretty slow to anger. It's like, and I don't make a lot of confrontations. I don't feed into all that. So that's just who I am. Does that mean I'm better? Because I have plenty of other shortcomings. That's just not one of them.
You're cool tempered.
Yes, I'm cool tempered. Yeah. The way of a lazy man is like a hedge of thorns. Well, and I thought about that. It's like, okay, hedge of thorns. What does that mean? It's like, well, you think of a hedge. It's like you're trying to walk along, walk around a hedge or through a hedge. You have to be, especially if it's got thorns, you have to be very careful. You can only go one way or you're going to get poked, you're going to get prodded, you're going to get stuck, you're going to get scratched, and, it's generally not going to be, a very fun time for you. And I think that's what it's talking about is the lazy man. Is the way lazy man is like walking through a hedge of thorns. It's like, you're not going to come out unscathed. It's basically what it is. It's like, but the way of the upright is a highway. It's a big straight path. It's like there's not a lot of stuff in your way. You just go. If you're upright, God's going to get those those obstacles out of your way. I like that one song was like, it's by Jason Castro. Was like, this is only about it. Tell it to move, it'll move. It's like, the way of the upright is the highway. It's like, something's in your way. You tell it to move, and God will move it, or He'll help you find a way through it. You just gotta trust Him. A wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish man despises his mother. And I think there's deeper meaning. I mean, you're not talking about like a foolish man just, I hate my mom. It's not really talking about that. It's the wise son makes a father glad. It's like, why? Because as a parent, you always want your child to do right. You always want your child better. You always want better for your kid than you had for yourself. Even if you're great growing up, it's like you still want better for your child than you had. You always do. It's innate in a parent. But a foolish man despising his mother, it's like it's not being literally like, oh, I hate my mom. It's just talking about you're not honoring their words, and you basically if you go out and do things that your mom and dad don't approve of. And I'm not talking about like when you went skateboarding and you wrecked your knee. I'm talking about like you do things moralistically that they don't approve of. That's like despising your parents. It's like because you basically have taken what they raised you up as, the morals they instilled in you. You said, I'm going to do what I want.
Like going to the skate park and doing drugs.
Yeah, like going to the skate park and doing drugs. It's like that would be despising your mother. It's like because that's not what they approve. It's something they don't approve of. Folly is joy to him who is destitute of discernment. People, they don't have discernment. They don't know right from wrong. So the folly is great. It's like, look at you. That was funny. You got hurt. No, it's not really funny. I mean, it's funny if somebody falls down. It's kind of funny. It's not funny if they really get hurt. But a man of understanding walks uprightly. You understand the word. It's not talking about understanding, like, I understand. It's like, no, it's understanding the word. Understand the word is that you walk upright. But that means sometimes you don't stumble. You stumble. Absolutely, you stumble. But the man understanding you walks uprightly. It's like, yeah, you're going to stumble sometimes, but you get up, you keep on walking uprightly as much as you can. Without counsel, plans go awry, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. it's talking about like always, without counsel plans go awry. It's like you're playing. I want to do this, but I'm not. You don't counsel. You don't ask anybody for their opinion, or you don't ask like, hey, how should I go about this? And it doesn't work well. But most of the counselors that are established, like, because it's like sometimes you need help. Sometimes you need people to help you figure out how to do things. I know, against our nature, we like to believe, especially as men, so we like to believe, oh, we know how to do everything, we know how to do it right the first time, and I don't need anybody to tell me how to do this. I already know how to do this. No, not so much. Sometimes you don't. A man has joy by the answer of his mouth, and a word spoken in due season, how good it is. A man likes to hear himself talk. All right, likes to hear himself talk. Some people really love the sound of their own voice. They just talk, 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 talk. Yeah. Anyway. Hey, you do, buddy. That's okay. But a word spoken in due season, how good it is. That word that it comes, right at the right moment. It's just a blessing, when you have just the right thing to say at the right moment. Sometimes you have the right thing to say, but it's in the wrong season. And it's not good. And so people have to be receptive. Like if you have a word for somebody, that they're not doing right, they're not doing things the way they should be doing them. It might be a good word, but it's not spoken in what the psalmist says is due season, right at the right time. It's not going to be received. It's not going to be good. I just think so. You have two things to deal with. It's like you have the right word, and you have the right time. The way of life winds upward for the wise. What's upward? Heaven's upward. It's like the way of life everlasting goes upward. It's like you're constantly going up. It's like it's going to be a steady incline. It's like this. That's really up to you. Most people, like this. It's little ups and downs, it's valleys, but you go down a little bit, but you'll go back up. Unfortunately, some people, when they hit that valley just turns into a complete downward slope. The verse is that he may turn away from hell the load. And of course, hell is beneath us. I don't know if it's so much physically beneath us, or that's just a term they like to use. It's like heaven is up, it's up. But it's always better to look up than look down. Things that are above are viewed as being high, better than things that are below. So I don't know. We'll find out whether if it's literally up and down, or
That would be weird if hell was up and
and then I guess it depends on which way you're standing, I suppose. It's everything's when it comes to directions, things are relative. Like you can go into China, and that's considered the far east, even though it's west of here. So it really depends. It's all a matter of perspective. The Lord will destroy the house of the proud. Man, destroy the house of the proud. It's like, why? Because, I don't know about you, but I don't like prideful people. Prideful people get on my nerves. It's like, God really doesn't like prideful people. So they really get on God's nerves. And, God, if you're a proud person, God's going to humble you. God is definitely going to humble you. I mean, he humbled his disciples. Peter had to deny Jesus 3 times because Peter probably was getting a little, as we like you say, big for his britches. He's getting a little, cocky and a little, big-headed, and it took, him like falling flat on his face, and then realized like, wow, he was humbled by that. And I think that's really what helped mold Peter into the leader of the disciples that he became to be. He became the mouthpiece. It's like, why? It's like, because of he got humbled. He was proud, and God knocked him down. Showed him like, no. But he will establish the boundary of the widow. Of course, boundary. You think about property. It's like boundary is like this is mine, and greedy for gain troubles his own house. See, Solomon beat me to the punch. Now we're talking about like being greedy for money, greedy for gain, greedy for job, greedy for status, greedy for anything. It's like you will destroy your own house. Well, you're not just destroy, trouble your own house. It's like there's many times like you see families that get broken because the husband has to stay away because he's working all the time. He's working 50, 60 hours a week. He's not spending any time with his family. And that's not to say that there aren't seasons for that, when you have to. It's like, but when it becomes from, I have to do this because I have to provide the basic needs for my family versus I have to do this because I have to provide for all of this. That, yeah, it's nice to have, but I don't have to have all of that. Gotta have this, but I don't have to have all of this. Then you run the risk of destroying your own home. That's when you have infidelity, both either on the male side or the female side, depending. It's like it comes from greed for whatever, for gain. In this sense, they're probably talking about money, but it's greed for anything. It's like God knows this. And it's like marriage is the most precious thing to you. When you get married, marriage is very precious to your house. And of course, when he says his own house, he's talking about not just a physical home. He's talking about house, like it's my family, my wife, my children. If I have them, it's like that's my house. And while you help maintain that house, help provide for that house, you also have to love that house. You have to spend time in the house. It's like if you don't spend time in the house, then someone else is going to come and take care of your house, and then you'll be upset. It's like, but he who hates bribes will live. Bribes, of course. What is a bribe? A bribe is I'm going to give you something. Usually, it's, when you think of a bribe, you think of like an official, elected official, like a cop or whatever. You bribe them. It's like you give them a little money, and they turn the other way when you want to do something that you're not supposed to do. And God hates that. It's like because you're allowing for someone to break the law, whether it be crooked people. It's talking about and it might be physical law, it might be God's law, it could be usually probably man's law, because God doesn't accept bribes. You can sacrifice and pray and give glory to God all you want to, but he's not going to accept your bribe that I'll give glory, I gave God 20% of my check this time, but now I can go and do what I want to do. Because it doesn't stop us from trying to bribe God, but God's not.
Do this, I'll make sure I do this.
That's right. It's like I promise God if I'll spend all this time and all this money and if you just get me through this, you're trying to bargain with God. And say, God has it all. Everything is God's. How are you going to bargain with somebody that has everything? You can't. The heart of the righteous studies how to answer, but the mouth of the wicked pours forth evil. What does that mean? It means that think before you speak. You don't just spew forth, smash you a question or makes a statement, and you don't just spew forth. I mean, some things, they're like, hey, are you hungry? Yes. Or no. It's like, but if so the question that requires a little bit of thought, put a little thought to it. It's like, think about how you answer it before you answer, because if you don't, your tongue is very evil. James righteous person, will try. A righteous person tries to be, better. A wicked person just like, what I want to do, don't worry about it. The light of the eyes rejoices the heart, and a good report makes the bones healthy. Good news makes you happy. How many of us weren't happy when we heard about, Liam being born, right? Makes you happy, like, hey, it's great, awesome. Some of us wish we had, heard a little sooner, but hey, it's okay. It was still good news. Good news. So a good report makes the bones healthy. You're at a doctor's office and you hear good news, like, oh, good news, nothing's broken, nothing's this, like, oh, great, awesome. Yeah, unfortunately that happened for you. Well, but that was your lesson, for disobeying your parents. God still loves you, but He didn't let you get out scot free. And you'll forever remember that lesson. Exactly. The ear that hears the rebukes of life will abide among the wise. You learn from your mistakes, is basically what it's saying. And so the rebukes of life is your mistakes. It's like, oh, I made a mistake and got smacked down for it. That's like, and so you either learn from it or you don't. So if you don't learn from it, then you're probably going to repeat your same mistakes over and over and over again. It's like, how many of us after that one time as a kid touched the hot stove, did we ever touch that stove again? Ooh. It's like, why? Because you learned the rebuke of life. It's like, I touched that hot stove and it was hot, so I'm not going to touch the stove again. It's like, but some of us never learned that lesson at least about certain things. It's like, don't touch the hot stove. It's going to burn you. It's like me, I learned, like my first marriage, it's like, I learned how not to do things. And because it was not good. It wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. And I learned the rebuke of life, and I don't make the same mistakes in Italia that I made with Bridget. Because I can, thank the Lord she's a completely different person, so it makes it a little easier not to do the same things I was doing, with Bridget. But I've learned my rebuke of life. And but sometimes you don't. And those are the people that get married 2, 3 times, 4 times. It's like, why? Because they never learn. The mistakes, they keep making the same mistakes. They don't learn from their, they don't hear the rebukes in their life. Telling them, say, look, don't do this. Okay? You're not supposed to do this. Okay? He who disdains instructions despises his own soul, but he who heeds rebuke gets understanding. Some, people are there to help. Some people are there to help you. It's like, people, God, for one, it's like, He gives us lots of instructions. If we don't listen to instructions, we do despise our own soul. But it goes deep, goes beyond just that. It's like, you have, sorry, I think when you teenagers, it's like, but, trust, it's like, you guys don't listen a lot of times. And it's like, and it's because, you're trying to find your own way. And that's all well and good. We all, we went through the same thing. It's like, we wanted to find our own way too. And it's like when we fell, scraped our knees, tore out our knee, hit our heads, whatever, because, we disdained the instruction. It's like, we're not trying to, as adults, it's like, those trying to stop your fun or trying to intentionally hurt you in any way. It's like they're well, at least a good adult would be. I mean, I would say that no adult would. It's like, but the people that are close to you, and the people in this room, and the people is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. Interesting that he put, before honor is humility. It's like, why? Well, to get honor, at least for honor from God, you have to be humble. You have to, humble yourself before God. It's like, before God will honor you. Look at Job. It's like, Job was, oh, I didn't do anything. It's like, and Job didn't get honor until he finally said, you know what, God, it's like, I'm sorry. It's like, you're God. I'm not. It's like, how should I ever have questioned you? And then God honored Job. Is that this is the man to be honored, and to the point where he said, "Look, it's like you better ask Job to pray for you, otherwise you're gonna, it's not gonna go well for you." So, Job, you have to humble yourself before you have honor before God. And who cares about man's honor? It's like I'd rather be honored by God than honored by man any day of the week. And you fear the Lord. It's like you think, wow, fear the Lord. It's like, why am I scared? It's like, well, here's the thing. It's like, and a person once told me. And it's a very true statement. It's like you can't respect something, or rather, respect means there's a little bit of fear. And so you can't respect something that you're not just a little bit afraid of. You can't respect God if you're not a little bit afraid of it. And you can't respect, like, say, guns unless you're a little bit afraid of what that gun can do. You can't respect, like, dangerous animals unless you're a little bit afraid of what that animal can do. It's like those trainers that train, like, lions and tigers and bears and things like that, they have a healthy fear of the animal because they know that animal at any time can just take them out quick as they can blink. But because they respect animals, they show that little bit of fear. And we need to show that little bit of fear to the Lord, I think, and not come to Him proud, not come to Him haughty, come to Him in humility. As God made the world, God made everything. God made this, that, God made this. God made the stones, the cement that made the blocks, and the man that put the blocks together in this home. God made it all. God doesn't need anything from you. All He wants is for you to love Him, and He wants to bless you. That's it, because God's like your parent. God is your eternal Father. It's like, and as a parent, you always want to bless your children. You always want to get your children nice things. It's like because you love them. God's like that. God wants you to love you. But, if you're the child that doesn't listen to your parent, you want to disobey them all the time, you want to say, don't talk to me, I don't like you, I don't love you, I don't need you. As a parent, you stop, going the extra mile. You get, your child these nice things. Like, why? Because they're no longer appreciative of it. God wants you to fear Him and love Him. Amen. That's really yeah, a little bit. So God wants you to love Him. So God doesn't want you to be that ungrateful child. He wants you to, He doesn't want you to be wicked. He wants you, doesn't want you to be proud. Be humble. Humility doesn't mean weakness. And that's unfortunately what our society has taught us. It's that humility is weakness. No. It takes a lot of strength of character. Without strength of character, to be humble before something, to submit yourself to something. It takes a lot of character to be humble. And I pray that each of us has